Hi, teachers. I'm Walter. This is EOT in Brazil. This is my partner, Bruno Albuquerque, and we're here today to talk about course books. So this is a new series of videos. We're going to be discussing these course books. We're going to be talking a little bit about how to use them, the advantages of each of them, and just stay there. Give us a minute, and we'll be right back. Roda a vinheta.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So as Walter was saying, today we're going to start this new series on analyzing course books. And the first victim, just kidding, and the first specimen we have chosen to analyze is Life by National Geographic Learning. When I opened this, oh, and by the way, this is not a pirate copy. This is a sample unit provided by National Geographic Learning in their official website. So we will not be using any pirate material here, because we know how much work goes into making these books, right?
We got to respect the authors, right?
Yes, definitely. So as a unit opener, we have a big title, easy to identify, an interesting picture, and this is, I think, Valde, this is like a fingerprint of National Geographic materials, right? Beautiful pictures with a lot of context, and you don't have those, well, you rarely have those cold stock pictures, right? So pictures in NGL material, they tend to have more context, more personality per se.
I think they have some of my favorite layouts, really.
True.
When we're talking about layouts, their books are just beautiful, like cover to cover, really.
Yeah.
And it's not just a case of Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy for students to follow, I believe, right? So one thing that caught my attention here, especially because this is a unit on Florianópolis here in Brazil. So NGL has this tendency of trying to intern. So it's quite often you see pictures and speakers from non-native countries, which I think is great. So it helps students to own the language to themselves. Really, Walter, I can't remember the last time I talked about American or British culture in class. It's been years, I think.
You know, this is something quite important, because it's also about the way you view the language as like English as an international language, right? So when you have those listening tracks and you're not only speaking about, like, you're not always going to have British and American speakers in these materials, but you actually get a chance to hear somebody from Brazil or Japan. So you have listening tracks like that. Some materials have that, and I really think that that's important, right?
Yeah. One thing that caught my attention here too is this list of features. I feel that Life, especially the unit openers, actually the whole series, it looks like a magazine. And then what you have in the unit opener, instead of learning objectives, you have featuring, kind of like featuring articles, right, in a magazine. And then in this unit, recycling, managing the environment, a boat made of bottles, and recycling Cairo. So it's clearly an approach that, well, it's clearly, to me, right, this is very personal opinion. This whole series is going to be filled with our opinion on stuff, right?
Basically, yeah.
But it feels to me that NGL has chosen a topic approach to this, so a focus on the content and not necessarily on the language, because it's common to see in other course books learning, right? So you'll be able to talk about past events. You'll be able to describe this and that, right? And this is something that I actually miss here. How do you feel about it, Walter?
I actually like that. When you think about the type of syllabus that you're analyzing, like I specifically like the fact that it doesn't feel like that the syllabus feels pretty analytical, not as opposed to being a synthetic syllabus. We're approaching the content, and therefore easier to. I perceive like the goals are more communicative if you think about it. Then we're gonna learn grammar out of this, specifically for this series for life. It's. I think that how can I make this clear? I think of materials like 20-year-old materials. The syllabus would always give you it's not the topic first, but the grammar that comes first, right? Like you're like, when you ask a student like, oh, what was last class about? And then they tell you the present perfect, instead of saying, oh, we're talking about our experiences.
Okay.
Right. So I think that having a material that addresses the context in that way, in such a manner, may be advantageous for that.
But then I feel that students will not know what they will learn in this unit. And when we're talking about adult learners, which I believe life is directed
Yes.
towards, or old teens or young adults, let's say, you don't know what you're going to learn. Myself as a teacher, when I read recycling, managing the environment, a boat made of bottles, and recycling Cairo, I have no idea what language will be taught in this unit.
I understand, and I actually agree to a certain extent, but I do see the advantages of it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I do see the advantages of it. Like, instead of like unit 4 topic recycling, and then having maybe like it's very common, specifically like having something like introducing yourself, or doing a presentation, or preparing something, or whatever it is, just like you said, having the objective, the lesson
linguistic
goal.
objective.
Yes. But I do like that, and I really like that analogy that you made, that it looks like a magazine. It does.
It
Like
does,
a
right?
brochure or some kind. It does resemble. I hadn't thought of that. I thought that was really like that. What about, this is also something interesting, like the choice of exercises they had in there. 4 exercises, Bruno, in the unit opener, that will give the learner. We could actually think that we could take this as some sort of test already, or you could think of
like a diagnostic moment, you mean?
A diagnostic moment. There was something you said before we started recording. I'm just gonna let you go for it, because it was your idea regarding the choice of exercises.
I find it interesting that all the exercises, first, it's surprising the number of exercises in the unit opener, right? Usually we have
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's just like a question and a big picture, right?
Yes.
So I think this will give teachers more support to deal with the unit opener, right? Sometimes it's quite challenging to have a picture and one question, and then what do you do about it, right? And then sometimes I feel that teachers might just skip the unit opener because it's just a picture and a question. So, okay, second page, next page, right? But here you have 4 exercises, so it's clearly a lesson, right? And they're all group work. So exercise 1, 2, 3, and 4, they involve interaction, which I think it's great to begin a unit, right? And carry out this diagnostic moment that you were talking about, right?
Yeah, and there is something else, actually, something that you said it yourself before we started recording the session, that it works well for us to activate schemata as well. It's quite useful for that, and you can link those things to units, specific units, I mean, parts of that unit, because units in life go up to F, A, B, C, D, E, F, if I'm not wrong. Some are longer. There is one more thing about life that I think is very interesting. They have sessions in the book with critical thinking.
No, cool.
Yep, that is very interesting. They address things that you don't see it in every book. For example, if you're talking about illocutionary force, of course it's not going to say that, but you can work with that. Or if you're going to work with anything more discourse like, you have, like, for example, responding to people, or showing interest, right? That like, and then you have things like really, right, that kind of thing. And it's just a very interesting material.
Yeah, I like it very much too. I think we chose to begin with National Geographic because of our love for the publisher. So
Probably, yeah.
we are 100% biased, folks. Is
Yes,
out there.
yes.
But I think so. We have these working pairs exercises. So number one, it's a focus on vocabulary. Number three is a hint on grammar on passive voice. I think, yeah. So is made of paper. You use it for looking up words. So maybe verb patterns. Use for something. And there is a listening activity, which I believe is another way of activating schemata together with the picture. But here's a question, and I think maybe we can. I'd love to hear your opinion about it, and then maybe we can wrap up with this question to our audience here. We are activating schemata for the unit, right? So maybe these students meet Mondays and Wednesdays. And do you think schemata activation lasts 2 days?
Absolutely not.
So what is the
not
point
a chance.
of a lesson to activate schemata for another lesson?
Exactly.
I do not know.
And here goes one thing that, like, it's just an opinion. In Portuguese, we have that word diagramação.
Okay.
Right? Like,
design, maybe?
Yeah, the layouts, design, we could think. And I'm thinking, because the question is really good. The question is really good, but no, I wouldn't. And sometimes you have to, like, it depends how long that lesson is. You may have to reactivate it. If you have a break in between lessons, you have to do it again, some sort of lead in.
And imagine if this lesson is taught on a Wednesday, and then the group will only meet again on Monday.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And here goes the thing. Would you do all these exercises? Because I know I wouldn't. We wouldn't have to look at the first unit. For example, if you go down and we see unit, I believe it'll
you
be...
mean the first lesson?
Yeah, 5A.
5A.
Okay, here we go. Now we know which exercise would be more useful for this unit, for 5A, right?
Yeah.
But then again, if you look at unit 5A exercise 1. Yeah, you already... Yeah, like you could be doing that. So, and then here goes a different perspective. You could do an entire lesson with this unit open, the unit opener. You could do an entire lesson
I
with
would
that.
probably do that.
Yep.
I would probably have the unit opener as a lesson.
So you
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing that as you know, just for activating schemata. You do an entire lesson with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let us know what you would do with that first unit in the comments. We want to know what you would do. Would you teach an entire lesson with the unit opener? And we'll see you in the next video.
All right. See
All
you,
right.
folks.
Yep. See you there.